Hello and welcome to Box News This Week. This is Khalil Gay in Dakar, Senegal. What if refilling a prescription was as easy as withdrawing money from an ATM? A South African tech company wants to make it possible. Its innovation, the pharmacy dispensing unit, is being tested in Johannesburg, and health experts say it could provide a strong boost for the fight against HIV/AIDS in South Africa and potentially the region. Zahir Kasim reports from
Hilda Dlala is off to pick up her antiretroviral medication. She must do this every month. In the past, she could miss a whole day of work waiting at the clinic, but not today.
Before, when I was taking my medication to the clinic, I have to wake up 5 o'clock and come back again 5 o'clock. Now I think this new system is much more easier because now I can take my children to school and go and collect my medication. It's much more easier now.
This is the Pharmacy Dispensing Unit, or PDU. The machine was developed here in South Africa and is being piloted in Johannesburg townships in partnership with the local government. The PDU scans a patient's identification. A pharmacist pops up on screen for a quick check-in. All that's left to do is pick up the medicine refill from the bin below. It takes about 3 minutes.
So here we provide chronic medication, and the majority of our chronic patients are HIV positive, so they take ARVs. That's close to 90% of the medication that we stock here.
Currently, 3,000 to 4,000 patients are seen a month in this facility, with this number expected to quadruple within the next couple of years.
South Africa has the world's largest HIV epidemic, accounting for 1 in 5 people living with the virus globally. But only about half of HIV patients in South Africa access ARV therapy. Dr. Mabulawa Mugabe of UNAIDS is optimistic about the PDU.
So for me, it's a game changer because one of our biggest challenges today in most countries in Africa is the fact that our facilities are congested. We need to find ways in which we can release the congestion, both for in the interest of the patients themselves, but also in the interest of the health systems themselves, so that we lessen the burden. In other words, patients who don't need to go in queue don't have to go in queue.
PDU centers are expected to open soon in 2 other townships. The company envisions one day installing PDUs in malls and other public spaces as well. Zahir Kasim for VOA News, Johannesburg.
For the first time in nearly 60 years, a Castro will not lead Cuba. This will happen after the country's National Assembly approves first Vice President Miguel Diaz-Canel to replace President Raul Castro. This was a long-planned transition. VOA's Bill Gallo reports.
Since Fidel and Raul Castro led a guerrilla movement that overthrew a dictatorship and took over the country in 1959, the name Castro has been synonymous with Cuba. Fidel Castro, who died in 2016, imposed communism and ruled the country for 5 decades, stepping down in 2008 because of illness. His brother Raul, who took over as president, promised economic reforms, but ultimately failed to bring about much change after almost 10 years in office. The Castros leave behind a legacy of defiance against the United States, as well as a long record of oppression.
The human rights legacy is one of authoritarianism. You have no freedom of assembly, no freedom of the press, no freedom to form political parties or vote your conscience on the island.
The question is, will that change in a post-Castro era? Or will the country's older communist revolutionaries continue to exercise influence, since Raul Castro plans to remain Communist Party leader?
We'll see how things turn out within the medium term, but I don't see a big groundswell of support within the Cuban government for expanded human rights, for instance.
The Trump administration has reversed former President Barack Obama's opening to Cuba that culminated with his visit to Havana in 2016. So Washington now doesn't hold out much hope for change.
We would like a more free and democratic Cuba. We will be watching, but aren't overly optimistic because this isn't a democratic process.
A new generation of leaders for Cuba, but few signs of a new direction. Bill Gallo, VOA News, Washington.
It may seem like just another week at the Trump White House. Word of a potentially historic breakthrough on North Korea is forced to compete with a scathing assessment of the president by his former FBI director and court appearances by his personal lawyer and an adult film actress who claims she had an affair with the president. Is this the new normal, or is it the political phenomenon of Donald Trump breaking the mold again? VOA national correspondent Jim Malone has more.
It will be a great day for them. It will be a great day for the world.
President Trump at his Florida resort, raising hopes for a breakthrough on North Korea and containment of its nuclear threat. But within minutes, Trump shifted to blast the Russia probe that continues to cast a shadow over his administration.
It is a bad thing for our country, very, very bad thing for our country. But there has been no collusion. They won't find any collusion. It doesn't exist.
The president remains engaged in a war of words with James Comey, the man whose firing as FBI director set in motion the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller to lead the Russia investigation. Comey told USA Today he worries the president may fire Mueller and the man he reports to, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
That is a fundamental attack on the rule of law. So that's the most important thing. All of us should care about that. Again, this is above politics, above party affiliation, because it's all we are as a country.
Trump was asked about the fate of Mueller and Rosenstein at his news conference.
They've been saying, I'm going to get rid of them for the last 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and they're still here. So we want to get the investigation over with, done with, put it behind us.
But some of the president's friends and outside advisors are urging him to take action, says journalist Jonathan Lemaire.
A number of those people have suggested to him, like, hey, you need to be tougher. Mueller is imperiling your presidency. You should fire him.
The Russia probe and the recent FBI raids targeting Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, continue to bring great political uncertainty for the White House, says American University analyst Chris Edelson.
We're coming to some kind of a head. I mean, certainly the Cohen news is a really big deal, and maybe we'll find out more about that in the not too distant future. But it's hard to say with certainty what that means. Does that mean weeks or months? I don't know for sure.
Cohen appeared in federal court earlier in the week, along with adult film star Stormy Daniels, sparking a media frenzy in Manhattan. The president has denied Daniels' claim that they had an affair and any knowledge of a payoff to allegedly silence her arranged by Cohen. Jim Malone, VOA News, Washington.
Members of the armed forces displaying their skills at an independence commemoration event in Bulawayo on Wednesday, attended by thousands of people. Zimbabwe commemorated its 38th Independence Day nationwide.
Atezingangiyi ukukhuluma ukuthi umkhululu liyazitshayela lokuthi ukuthi ngibone ukuthi bona liyakuthanda okwenzakala la.
Well, that's all for this edition of Box News This Week. This is Khalil Gay in Dakar, Senegal. Have a wonderful weekend.